It's that time of year again, and hot on the heels of BVE back in the UK, here we are in downtown Las Vegas for NAB 2013, arguably the largest broadcast expo that there is. Now, over the next 4 days, literally thousands of people will cram into the 3 exhibition halls, hoping to catch a glimpse of what the major manufacturers are going to be putting in front of us in the next 12 months. And the betting is that there's going to be a lot of 4K products. Helping me to search out all the best stuff is my old mate Phil Myers, Head of Technology at CVP. We caught up with him, as you might guess, on the Sony stand.
So we're over on the Sony stand, and one of the new cameras here at the show is the PMW 400. Why is this so groundbreaking? Well, for all those people that were looking at maybe the PMW 350, for example, but really wanted the PMW 500 for the 50 megabits recording, well, guess what? The PMW 400 has that. It does come with or without a lens, so you can buy it as an L or a K. In this configuration with the lens, it has a 16 times lens. It's a 2/3 inch HD lens, so that's really good value. It's a 2/3 inch CMOS sensor, full 1920 by 1080. Good sensitivity, so because it's CMOS, it means that the blacks are going to be really noise free. It has the neutral density filters at the front, and it also has the color temperature electronically on the camera. And as you can see in the viewfinder we have here, it's very similar to the VF01 which comes with the PMW 500. So what's slightly different at the back of the camera is you'll notice that there isn't any color LCD on the side. It has a very similar sort of LCD panel you find on the PMW 350. Around the rear of the camera, we do, however, have 2 HD SDIs. So one can be HD SDI, the other one can be SDI, for example. So if I'm running a feed to a direct or a feedback to a truck, you can do both at the same time. If you want digital audio, well, guess what? We've got that on this camera as well, so it slots in at the back, so we can add the Sony digital audio system to this camera. And around the far side, you'll find the slot for the S/S card. So you've got a couple of options you can go with. You can either go for the media adapters if you're using the 35 megabits, the media adapters, for example, the XQD media if you want to do UDF and 50 megabits on a budget, or if you want ultimate reliability and performance, then you'd go for the S/S. Dual slots means that we can record on slot A. As the card fills up, it'll automatically roll over to slot B. You'll notice there's also a side panel that can be exposed here on the side. This is for the Wi-Fi dongle, so all the great things that XM Pilot can do will be available on this camera as well. So whether that's live streaming or live logging, we're going to be able to add that to this camera. All in all, it's an outstanding camera at a great price point. So for people who were looking at a 500 but maybe didn't have that money, but wanted to look at a 350 but wanted the 50 megabits recording, well, the PMW 400 gives you all of that in one chassis. So this is a camera to watch this summer.
So what we have here is a PMW F55 with the new 4K fiber adapter on the back. So it pretty much can be used as a full systems configuration. And there are really 2 applications for this type of configuration. First thing is for 4K acquisition for large screen projection in venues. The second thing is 4K acquisition actually for HD production, where we can acquire a full 4K frame and using the Sony VPU 400 box actually take out an HD cutout of that and allow us to pan and scan across that 4K frame. Why is that of interest? Well, it means that in a football stadium, for example, you can cover more of the stadium with less cameras. And I think this is going to be a real key focus moving forward in the live sports production area of the market. This year at the show, OLED monitors have been refreshed, so the PVM and the BVM family of OLED monitors have had a new panel added to them. Well, why have Sony done that? It's to give a wider viewing angle. It's probably one of the only last issues people had with the OLED technology. However, the PVM monitors have actually had 6 new features added to them. So, first new feature is closed caption in vision. You can also have timecode in vision. There is also a camera focus assist mode, which is very similar to peaking. 8-channel audio monitoring, waveform and vector scope monitoring. So it's an entire refresh of the PVM OLED monitor family.
Delivering material via wireless or IP is a big feature at NAB, and Sony's CVK WA100 takes the HD SDI or USB output from the camera, essentially converting it to an IP stream, and then delivering it via Wi-Fi, 3G or 4G network connection to a cloud-based server or direct to your studio for packaging and playout. In deadline critical situations, it's a must-have piece of kit. Another clever box from Sony, the SDI IP converter, is the smaller brother of the NXL IP55 with its multiple SDI over IP. The SDI IP converter is a single channel unit where you can take an RJ45 or Cat6 signal out from a single SDI in and deliver it over IP before converting it back to SDI at the receiving end.
So one of the hottest cameras since the turn of the year has been the Sony F5 and F55, and here at the show, one of the hottest new accessories is this little thing. This is the Optitek EF lens mount. It gives you a lot more lens options for the F5, more cost-effective lens. Comes in a couple of configurations. You can get it either just as a lens mount, and we have the aperture control around the far side there, or we can use it with the remote control. So again, we've got full control of the lens. It is powered by the camera. One of the other configurations is with a wireless controller, so we can unhook the main control unit, connect it via Wi-Fi, and pretty much do a full wireless control of the lens system. One of the other big features at the show is this little thing. And this is still only a prototype from Sony, and this will be coming later in the year. But if you've got a lot of HJ, say for example 22 lenses off your Sony F800 camera or your 700, or even your old HD cam camera, and you want to go documentary style with the F55, then this is the adapter you're going to need. It's a bit big and bulky, but it does a couple of things. First thing is it provides power to the lens as well. Second thing, it actually has a full active connection to the camera. Very robust connection to the B4 mount. And what we're led to believe with Sony also provides chromatic aberration correction. So at the moment there are a couple of solutions, very mechanical solutions for the F5 to add on these B4 lenses. However, one of the biggest drawbacks are the issues associated with chromatic aberration. So we think that this adapter here will actually be one of the key new features that will come for this camera later this year. So there is some great news at the show for NEX FS700 owner and operators. It's this little interface, and this is the HXR IF R5, and it's the best way to increase your investment in the NEX FS700. What we can do is we can dock this onto the camera using a single 3G SDI interface. We can take the R5 recorder from the F5 or the F55, which is this little thing here, and we can move up from an AVC HD workflow to a full RAW workflow at 4K. There are some other things that Sony are bringing, which is this little adapter here as well. So a bit like the F5 and F55, there's no real way to add digital audio to those cameras. However, this little adapter will make life a little bit easier. So this will be coming in the summer. You'll need a couple of things. There's a firmware update for the NEX FS700. You'll also need the interface, and of course you'll need the R5 recorder. On top of that, you probably do with an AXS card, as well as the USB 3 card reader. So again, if you've got an NEX FS700, this is a great way to increase your investment in that product.
Sony's Anycast Touch reintroduces the Anycast range, though now in a super slim, super effective touch panel configuration. It features 6 vision inputs, the facility for live graphics, and a 5-channel audio mixer. And a real plus is the ability to record internally using XDCam's 35 megabits format. But again, nodding at IP delivery, also included is the ability to record the high-res internally and simultaneously stream to the web to a content delivery network. Across the stand, Phil had found 2 more recorders. One hot off the R&D belt, the other coming soon.
So IBC last year, Sony showed this device as a technology demonstration. It looks very much like the PDW HD 1500 optical disc VTR. However, it's got some subtle differences. The first main difference is the fact it doesn't have optical disc, it has S-by-S. It's a very low-cost studio recorder. It has basically the ability to record from one card and continue recording to the second card. So now with the new 128 gig capacity cards, you get really long ISO recordings. There are some other workflow improvements. They've put a high-speed USB 3 connection on the front, so if I want to copy from the card directly to a drive, for example, for backup, we can do that. It's got all the usual interfaces that we're used to, SDI, HD SDI, we have Ethernet around the back. We have also the ability to power it by mains or by battery adapter. So whether you're looking to use it in a studio environment or in an OB truck, this is a very compact, lightweight XDCam recorder. So XAVC, what is it? Well, it's Sony's next generation codec. You'll see it's in a lot of the newer products like the F5 and the F55, and here at the show they're showing a technology demonstration with the XDCam station using XAVC for playback and record. They also announced that XAVC-S will be coming very shortly in the consumer space, and with over 60 partners signed up to develop XAVC into their products in the professional space, all we can see moving forward is good news for the XAVC format. One key message that Sony keeps telling us at the show is that MPEG-2 50 megabits long op is here to stay. It will be in all the future products moving forward as a legacy format. One other key area they're going to look at is XAVC long op to get those 4K bit rates down. However, we do believe that that will be in the 4:2 color space.
Finally from Sony, these 4K consumer goodies caught my eye. A whopping 65-inch panel, a 4K home cinema projector, and this 4K media center, which is about as gadget as it gets. But without doubt, the stunning 4K OLED monitors were stealing the show, all of which clearly demonstrates Sony's commitment to 4K. And while Phil headed off to find Panasonic, I decided to look for something more, well, gadgety, and it didn't take me long to find this.
Check that out. Forget your quadcopters and your $30 of remote control. That little baby up there, fully remote control, $1 million. And that's just for the aircraft, but you can't even buy it because you have to buy 2 of them together. All the ground support, all the downlinks from BMS, and it's way over $5 million. But hey, what a toy. What they say is, as an aerial platform, it has the same flying capabilities of a military Lynx helicopter. And that, my friends, is good news if you're having a bad day.
Whilst we did manage to find several 4K products on the Panasonic booth, it's very, very clear that Panasonic this year are promoting their new AVC Ultra format. What is it? Well, it's a 1080p format, and as we can see at the show, they're introducing a number of products. So they've got a bit of a prototype here, which is looks a bit very similar like the HPX251, and this is going to be a future product that will also do AVC Ultra. It's got some few other bells and whistles on it, like upload and proxy and so on. Behind me at the back here, we have the 3rd generation VariCam. So for those VariCam lovers that are used to using the old sort of VariCam tape-based camera and more recently moved up to the P2 one, this is the new AVC Ultra VariCam. So at 1080p, using the AVC 100 format, you can get up to 120 frames per second. If we move it up to the AVC Intra 200 class, then you get up to 60p. And however, this will also do the AVC Intra 444 up to 30p. So if you want that sort of VariCam look with a whole range of recording formats, this is the one to go for. But it's not forgotten there. There are some other subtle new features, and this is the long-awaited Micro P2. It's using the Ultra High Speed 2 SDHC technology. Why is it important? Well, not only are Panasonic revitalizing their whole P2 family with new cameras, recorders, they're also doing the same with the media. So for those of you wanting to use maybe, for example, the new cameras, but were put off by the costs of the P2 cards, well, great news, you'll be able to use these small cards, and if you already own P2 cameras, you'll also be able to use the adapter as well. So basically embracing the whole concept of consumer and professional media across existing products and future products. And this is one to watch.
Also looking at the 4K market for monitoring, Panasonic was showing a 31-inch 4K panel and some prototype OLED panels. All are still in development, rather like this camcorder, which caught Maya's eye.
And this is a 4K prototype of a handy camcorder. And basically what Panasonic is showing here is a future product. It's a small handheld camera. It doesn't have any HDSDIs on it, however it does have a single HDMI output. And one of the things they are showing is it being hooked up to a 20-inch 4K screen behind me. No ideas or plans on when it's going to come to market. Clearly Panasonic are still developing this product, and hopefully we'll see this later this year.
Well, we all take our time choosing what particular camera that we want to use for the particular type of business that we do. But what about camera support, which is equally as important? Well, tucked away here at NAB in the central halls, we found Kessler. Kessler are an American company, they work out of Indiana, and for the last 8 years they've been producing some innovative and really high quality camera support, tripods, jibs, and something that really caught our eye, the Cine slider. Have a look at this. Well, at CVP, we're so impressed with the build quality and the innovation of the Kessler products that we will be bringing them to the UK, so check out the CVP website really soon.
Over at JVC, it was a case of size does matter, as they showcased their 84-inch 4K panel, which drew huge crowds. Also on show was a prototype 32-inch LCD display for professional grading. And in the camera section, we found this.
This is the GY-HM70. For all you videographers amongst us, this is a camera for you. It's an AVC HD camera. It supports a dual SDHC.
It's quite nice. It's got dual batteries at the back, so you're not going to run out of batteries. It is an on-the-shoulder camera. It does have a slightly smaller sensor. It's a 1x2.8 inch sensor. It will record up to 50p, so if you do want maybe a little bit of slow motion. It's got a color eyepiece. Like I said, with it being shoulder, it's great for conferences, corporate, education, wedding videographers, and the price point is actually very attractive. So I would say keep an eye on this one, and it's going to be coming very shortly. So there's not many new products on the Canon stand this year. However, there is this. This is the XA25. It's a new camera. It's a single CMOS sensor, 2.8 inches. It's quite unique. It's got SDI on it. It also does dual recording, so it can record the AVC HD version 2 specification, and that means it's 1080 up to 50p. It also allows for H.264 up to 35 megabits in an MP4 wrapper. It's very light, compact. It does have XLR audio. However, if you do want to break it down, make it a bit smaller, the whole top handle of it comes off. It utilizes SDHC cards. A bit like its sort of bigger brother, the XF series. It does a single rollover record where it will record to slot 1, and when that fills up, it'll go to slot 2. Or it will do the dual record where it'll actually let you record to both cards simultaneously. Even better than that, it'll let you record AVC HD to one slot whilst recording the 35 megabits MP4 to the second slot. So it's a good addition to the small handheld cameras from Canon. It's going to be shipping in the summer, and I'd say keep an eye out for this product. So last year here on the Arja booth, they announced the Kai Pro Quad. This year they're actually shipping it. It was introduced alongside the Canon C500 as a real-time debugger into ProRes 4K. What they're showing here is the 4K files being played back. However, they're using their new product, the Hi-Fi 4K, to convert the 4 HD SDIs to an HDMI connection to power a consumer display. So obviously, as we start acquiring 4K pictures, we want to be able to see those pictures. You could go down the Sony path and decide to use their slightly expensive LCD 4K panel. Well, I think what's more likely to happen in this market, people will take a sort of prosumer panel to watch their 4K pictures. However, those panels don't have a BNC on them, so you will need something like the Hi-Fi 4K in order to translate those pictures. We're really excited about these two products. One thing I will say about the Arja Kai Pro is I believe they're working with Sony, so that this product will also work eventually with the FS700 camera as well. So again, both shipping, you will need probably both of them in a 4K setup in order to acquire and watch your 4K pictures. So watch this space. So to join the Hi-Fi 4K, we also found this little box. It's the ROI, or Region of Interest Scaling Device from Arja. It essentially lets me take the DVI or HDMI out of a MacBook or a PC. It then goes in one side of the converter, and the other side we get a HD SDI. It's also gen lockable. And using the Arja software, we can scale it in on a part of the screen and get it out on the SDI. What's it useful for? Well, if you're a news organization and maybe you want to get some YouTube clips or you want to get some Twitter feeds out onto an SDI signal, then you're going to need one of these. It does a very good job with the scaling. It also allows you to move across the scan as well, so you can choose the point of interest you want to get out. So there are a lot of these types of products on the market. However, one thing you always can guarantee with Arja is the scaling is always going to be the highest possible quality. So if you're doing multimedia work and you want to drop it in either a presentation or some live streaming, or maybe even just some simple graphics from your computer screen into your live production, then make sure you've got one of these in your bag.
Just along from Arja, Matrox was showing the updated Monarch HD, which takes an HDMI input, encodes it via H.264, and can then record internally at 20 megabits per second to HDSC or USB, and can stream live to the web, all at the push of a button. This clever box also features HDMI and audio outputs for monitoring. And sticking with the clever box theme, over at SWIT, Phil found this.
So off-board monitoring is always a challenge, and over the last couple of years we've seen people like Teradek move into this market, and this year at NAB the guys from SWIT have introduced a system. It looks very similar to the IDX system. It's based on a transmitter and a receiver. It's utilizing 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi connectivity, and essentially allow me to do uncompressed HD in a multicast environment. So that means I can have one transmitter and up to 5 receivers. So for example, if I've got a director that wants to see the video, I can do that. If I also want to take an HDSI to a vision mixer, for example, I can also do that at the same time. And if I want to go out to the web, I can take another HDSI receiver and plug it into my web encoder. It's really easy to use, and just to show you that, I'm just going to switch the camera around and you can see
my cameraman there. The latency is very good, less than 1 millisecond. Power consumption is even better, less than 10 watts. And it's all based on a V-lock mounting system. So this is one to watch if you're interested in off-board camera monitoring.
There's no doubt that 4K was a huge part of NAB, popping up in cameras, monitors and an array of interfaces. But despite this, across the three halls there was plenty more to see. But in the South Halls, one stand in particular was drawing a lot of attention.
Well, one of the biggest announcements at NAB 2013, as it happens, also turns out to be one of the smallest announcements, and it's here at the Blackmagic stand where they've announced Blackmagic's Pocket Cinema camera, a unit which is in fact little more than the size of a standard iPhone. So what do you get? Well, you get HD recording in Cinema DNG RAW or ProRes HQ at what Blackmagic say is lossless compression. There's a Super 16 sensor and you're shooting to SD cards. An active micro 4/3 mount is supplied which can be adapted to accommodate all different types of lenses, and in fact elsewhere on the stand you can see one of Arri's flagship lenses attached to this very small camera. Very strange it looks too. There are 13 stops of dynamic range which caters for your filmic looks, and the addition of a removable battery is also a big plus point. It now means you can swap batteries on the run, you haven't got to stop and recharge the whole unit when the battery runs flat. On the output side there's micro HDMI as opposed to mini HDMI, and also there's a LANC connection which offers you the opportunity to remote stop-start or maybe control your focus. Now this camera is coming out at under $1,000 and it's going to be highly competitive. Massive interest, massive market from broadcast right down to consumer. The Pocket camera is going to be very, very popular and is slated to ship in July 2013, so get your orders in.
So if 4K live production is your thing, then you definitely want to take a look at this. This is the ATEM Production Studio 4K from Blackmagic. It allows you to take up to 4 6G SDI inputs. It has mixing on the front, so you can do clean switching between any of the sources. It also has the usual software interface. You can see at the back here we have it running on a MacBook Pro. So when you couple that with the new Hyperdeck Studio 4K from Blackmagic, you've got a real cost-effective solution for 4K vision mixing, 4K ISO playback, and also 4K recording. And we think that this really truly will make 4K available to everybody. If you're looking for professional audio monitoring, then you might want to consider this. This is brand new from Blackmagic also. This is their professional 1RU audio monitoring tool. It takes SDI or HDMI in the rear. You have an inbuilt monitor so you can see what's going into the device. It has 2 inbuilt speakers so you can actually hear with full volume control. It does have a headphone socket, and you can also isolate solo left and right so you can hear what channels are coming out. So I think, you know, in your edit suite or in your sort of audio production area, you might want to have one of these devices.
Well, another major announcement from Blackmagic is this, the production camera 4K, and it really is drawing a lot of interest. It's literally packed with features. So what do you get? Well, first up you get a Super 35mm sensor, and you're shooting Ultra HD 4K onto SSD cards using Cinema DNG RAW or ProRes HQ. And another major feature is the addition of a global shutter, something you wouldn't expect to find on a camera of this size or indeed price point. There's a 6 gig SDI out, so 4K can now be sent down just one cable, which is a huge time saver in itself. And the camera also offers 12 steps of dynamic range, which caters for all your filmic looks. Now, we've got lots of flexibility built in. Accessories from the original Blackmagic camera will transpose directly to the new 4K, so if you've got rigs and bits and pieces from the old camera, you can just move them on, upgrade the camera, and you're off and shooting. There's going to be a huge amount of interest in this camera, particularly as the price point for the camera alone is just south of $4,000 US.
So at CVP, we're real big fans of the new tech products, and this year there are some new improvements coming to the 8000. One of the major improvements is mirroring, so if you've got 2 systems, you can control them from a single operator. There are some other breakthrough features like animation buffers, for example, so now you're not restricted by the number of DVRs. You can have animation buffers, and that's up to an additional 10. However, the biggest announcement here at the show is this, and this is the 3-play 4800. And it's real simple to explain. It's an ISO recorder with real-time instant slow motion. So you can set up in 2 configurations. You can have it in a 4-in redundant mode, or you can have it as an 8-input recorder and playback. So how does it work? Well, you've got your traditional A and B, so preview and program to get what you want to play out on air. We've got a T-bar to slow things up and down. We have a jog shuttle, for example, to roll up and down the clip. But they've added some other new features, and using this keypad here, we can do something called tagging. So for example, it has like a 3-level approach to tagging. So if I'm doing a football game, for example, I can choose the football team like Manchester United. I can choose a player, maybe somebody like Wayne Rooney, and we can also add an action, so whether he scores a goal or it's a red card or a yellow card. And the nice thing about that is you can then recall all that metadata to choose your clips. What's really cool about this system is that when you recue a clip for playback, it not only gives you the angle you're looking at, it gives you all the additional angles that are synchronous to playback. So maybe you want to go to the wide or the close-up or maybe the semi-wide, you have that option. The user interface is very intuitive. So in the top right, left-hand corner, we have the 4 inputs coming in. So in a redundant mode, we only see the 4. When we're in 8-channel mode, you can see up to all 8. We can see what is being previewed to air, and we can also see what's going to air. In the middle of our display here, we can see the channels that are being recorded. We also have at the bottom our metadata tagging. So remember I said to you about using the keypad, where we can also see what is assigned to what button here. And then in the middle here, we also have a playlist. So you can generate a playlist. So if you've got a number of shots that you maybe want to set up and sequence ready to go, I can then just press one button and load them to air. It's got an absolutely revolutionary breakthrough price at under £35,000. For that many channels is really unheard of in this industry. It has 8 channels, like I said. It uses the MPEG-2 intraframe format at up to 100 megabits. There are a couple of applications for it. Primarily, it's designed for sports application, so for ISO recorder with instant replay. However, at CVP, we also think it's ideally suited for reality TV. So you've got a lot of, for example, a lot of ISO records that you want to record, and then you want to edit, then this is also a system for you. The MPEG-2 iframe format is very edit friendly, so it'll go into Final Cut, it'll go into Avid, it'll go into Premiere. In fact, what's really nice about this system is while you're recording, you can also publish the media to a destination. So as you come out of a record, you can say, right, let my editors work with it and create a highlights package and even put it back onto the 3Play to drop back into the program. So a lot of functionality. But I want to mention one other key thing is most people, if you're used to the TriCast, are used to the transitional effects, and that's not something that you normally got in a 3Play system. However, in this new 3Play system, you also have transitional effects. So you can actually drive a lot of the look for your program from inside this system. One other thing, social media, so whether you want to do Twitter, whether you want to do Facebook, or whether you want to get your metadata or your video clips out onto air and also out onto the web, well, this product will also do that as well. So all around, excellent solution.
So what is it with the broadcast industry and size? At the one end of the scale, you've got things like Sony's F65, which when fully loaded is arguably the size of a small continent. And then at the other end of the scale, you've got things like Blackmagic's Pocket Cinema camera, size of an iPhone. And now the whole equation applies to outside broadcast trucks, because this is NewTek's version of BBC outside broadcasts. In this tiny little car, you've got a TriCaster for switching, you've got a 3Play for slow-mo replay, you've got swing-out monitors, you've even got a patch panel. All you need is a couple of deck chairs on the top to sit on, Bilbo Baggins to do the vision mixing, and you're done. Only in Vegas.
So NAB wouldn't be NAB if we didn't drop by the Avid stand. So what's new at Avid this year? Well, the first thing is they've introduced Avid Media Composer 7. It's got a couple of new features. First thing up is it will now do frame sizes larger than HD. So for all those new 4K cameras that are coming to the market, they're going to be supported. It also has something called Frame Flex, where, you, for example, you might want to acquire in 4K. However, you might only want to extract an HD frame from it. So that's a resize, pan and scan inside the frame. Some other nice workflow improvements inside Media Composer 7 is things like background transcode and consolidate. So when you've got tasks, for example, when you maybe want to finish a sequence, but you want to send it somewhere, or you want to make different versions of it, transcode it, no longer do you tie up a Media Composer editing system, it'll actually let you do that in the background. So some of the other groundbreaking news around Avid Media Composer 7 is that they've kind of done away with Symphony. So now Avid Media Composer 7 is less than $1,000. When you want to go to a Symphony, you only have to buy the Symphony option, which is an additional $1,500. One of the other options that has actually come down in price with the Avid products is now when you want to add your Avid Media Composer to your Interplay environment, not only do you need your Avid Media Composer and your Interplay license, you don't have to pay twice for it. You can basically get something called the Avid Media Composer Interplay option. So all in all, Avid Media Composer 7, lots of new features, lots of new formats and frame sizes, but also lots of workflow improvements. However, there are a lot of other things on the stand, and probably the big thing that we noticed at the stand is that they are now introducing Interplay and ISIS bundles at a much more affordable price point. So in the summer, you'll be able to get ISIS 16 terabyte system with Interplay production version 3.0 for less than $50,000. And that really will help get that product into the production community. What else do they have? Well, they also have introduced something called Interplay Pulse. So if you're delivering to the web, maybe to content delivery networks, or maybe you want to go out to Twitter or to Facebook with your content, rather than have to go to different applications and transcode and move your media around, you can now do that within the same pipeline within inside of Avid. So one of the hot product we saw on the Avid stand is Avid Pro Tools 11. And this, if we believe Avid, will revolutionize the audio industry. Not only is it a complete rewrite in a 64-bit engine, but they're saying that they can get the same performance on a Mac Mini as they could previously on a Mac Pro with accelerator cards. And we think this will be quite a big revolutionary step forward in that area. Other things that we saw that took our eyes on the Avid stand, Airspeed 5000 got a minor update. Why is that important? Well, one of the things that really made it a little bit prohibitive was the ability that it wasn't able to play out clips whilst it was recording. Now you could do that with the latest firmware updates. So lots of things on the Avid stand that when you add them all in together, make an end-to-end workflow very, very sweet.
Well, it's the last day of NAB. We've been to all the big stands over the last few days, and finally, on our way out, in the back of Hall C, we find this. This is Emotimo, who work out of San Francisco, a company that's only 2 years old, and its owner and founder was in robotics and has come up with this, and it's the Emotimo TB3 3-axis motion control head. Now, nothing unusual about that, plenty of those on the market, you might think, but this little baby not only does its job very, very well, it's priced at less than $1,000.
We wanted to create a simple, affordable, super easy to use motion control head for an everyday photographer. Put it on top of a mountain, use it in studio. It's very flexible, it's open source. And the setup with this little tiny remote control is very easy to use. In fact, most people are setting up shots in less than 2 minutes. We're a 3-axis controller. We can integrate with dollies, with focus mechanisms, but at its core, we're a precision pan and tilt head. We work with time-lapse, we work with repeatable shots for visual effects. Really an exciting little device, we think, that can open up motion control to a whole lot more people in the space. So technical specifications, we focus on cameras, digital SLRs that are less than 8 pounds, as well as video cameras. We've got 2 modes, one of which is the SMS, or interval shooting, and it allows for time-lapse. The other which is continuous mode, is meant for video. We actually have a third output. It's a 3-axis controller, so you can hook this up to dollies. And it's expandable and open source as well, so if you want to connect it in studio to various bits of desktop software and control it by laptop, you can do that too.
And there you have it. And traditionally now you'd expect Phil Myers, the head of technology, to be in front of the camera giving you his wise words of wisdom on all the things that we've seen at NAB, but unfortunately he's disappeared and you're left with me. So what I think is that yes, we've proved 4K is very big on the agenda for everybody, both in terms of acquisition, production, post-production, and digital glue from the likes of Arja and Blackmagic. A lot of things this year that are being punted out. Favourite products for me, I really do like the little Blackmagic Cinema 4K production camera. Yes, it's a strange one, but for the money, a really nice piece of gear. And also the Emotimo motion control rig, which we saw really right at the end of the show, which again, for the money, a fantastic little piece of kit. That's all from NAB this year. See you next time round.